Well, welcome to the Rudy Giuliani Show. And here we are once again in Palm Beach, beautiful Palm Beach, Florida, which is the winter home to the president. And it will soon be, if not already, not occupied by the president. We were there on Saturday night for the closing of the Saturday night dinner. In fact, we closed it for the president, and it doesn't really open again until, I'm not really sure. I mean, it would be sometime in the early fall when it opens again. And as you know, the president, if he follows the sort of arrangement that he had in his first term, he will now spend about a month, really mostly in Washington, going out to Virginia when he wants to play golf at his golf course at that historic, very, very historic place on the Potomac, where the two armies met each other to any number of numerous casualties in the Potomac River. There's an indication, a beautiful, beautiful memorial that he built there to signify that battle. And the golf course is spread across that beautiful piece of land on the Potomac. He uses that when he's in Washington quite a bit. When I was working with him as his lawyer, he would often have me meet him out there. Sometimes when he really didn't want to play golf very well, or sometimes just to do work. We did a lot of work out there. And then he'll end up at Bedminster for the summer, which is where his family stays. And Bedminster, the Bedminster Club is not only a golf club, it's a family club. So the pool at Bedminster is quite beautiful. I mean, you see all the children. And my little granddaughter Grace loves it. She's like a little mermaid in there, and so there are a lot of little mermaids in that pool. But now, of course, he's on his way to the Middle East, to Saudi Arabia, to the great big barren desert, the Saudi Arabian desert, and I imagine he's going directly to Riyadh, which is the capital of Saudi Arabia, and it's almost as if he's picking up where he left off when interrupted really by COVID more than anything else in the progression of the Abraham Accords. The big one, of course, there are a couple of little ones, but the big one left is Saudi Arabia and Israel. And people say, well, why is that so hard? Anyone who knows the Middle East or trading in the Middle East or anything beyond just a surface knowledge of it knows that Israel and Saudi Arabia, if not friends, certainly have been business, I wouldn't say partners. They exchange business quite regularly. They assist each other quite regularly. And this has been going on for 20 plus years. The animosity between them is long gone, but there is a barrier. And the barrier is Palestine, because the Saudi Arabian royal family, and this is up until now with MBS, the royal family has felt that if they were to do, let's say, what Egypt and Jordan did way back and have a peace treaty, or even what Dubai and Abu Dhabi and Bahrain and several of their brother Arab countries did under Trump with the Abraham Accords, that they would have significant problems with what we call, put it in quotes, their street. Now, their street is made up of Islamic extremists of the Sunni variety, as distinguished from the Shiite variety in Iran and actually in some of the other places, like in the Houthis in Yemen, and but they can be just as vicious, of course, just as animalistic, just as they are, in fact, the architects of the attack on the World Trade Center. Most of them, if not all of them, were Sunni Muslims. And what was it? 15 of them were Saudis. But they were trained in many places. They were trained, for example, in Bosnia-Herzegovina, which it really shocks me that the State Department is so partial to them as opposed to Republika Srpska or Serbia, since they contributed several of the 9/11 murderers, as well as any number of other murderers of Americans. They have been a rather well-used training ground for Islamic extremist terrorists who kill Americans and American allies, and certainly kill Jews. So this is a very complex thing. And of course, he hanging out there is that announcement of several days ago when Prime Minister Carney was with him, and he said there would be a great big beautiful, I don't think he said beautiful, that's the tax bill, a great big announcement of major proportions that was going to be made over the weekend or early this week. And of course, everyone speculated, and particularly my friend Ed Henry on Newsmax, that this would be an announcement, possibly an Abraham Accord with Saudi Arabia, which I ideally hope is the case. But I did express the condition that somehow, I mean, up until now, that has been prevented by the fear, not only of the Saudi Arabian street, not prevented by MBS not wanting to do it or seeing the tremendous value of doing it. And I think he was very close to doing it during the Obama years because they needed an alliance against Saudi Arabia. And what better alliance than the best military in the region and the richest country? That's a pretty good combination. But again, the street has always been a major problem for the royal family. And that is the reality that they could be overthrown. Not the just the possibility, but the reality, which becomes magnified by the presence of the Islamic Republic of Iran right to their north, or the reign of terror, that if the street itself didn't have sufficient enthusiasm for killing them and overthrowing them, Iran would use that as a pretext for accomplishing what they can't accomplish without it. So unless there's been a material change in that, and there could be, I don't have omni knowledge of all that's going on there, if anybody does, and or of the changes that have been made, since I haven't been to that region of the world for about 4 years. And not that it changes that much, but it changes. I'll be going there, I believe, this summer, so I can come back, I think, with better observations for you. But there could be something very close to such a deal that makes it that kind of deal almost obvious if we solve the Iran problem, or which would create an incentive for us to solve it. Iran has, for the longest time, I mean, originally Arafat was the obstacle to peace in the Middle East, as demonstrated by Clinton in 1998, 2000, even into 2001, basically offering him everything that he ever wanted. And no matter what Clinton put on the table, Arafat kept saying, no, 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 no. And we came to the conclusion of what a waste of 10 years that had been, because he was never interested in peace. He was interested in getting the money. They count 27 million. I think it's closer to 100. that he and his old lady got away with, and she's living, great in the south of France and his family. But none of that money got to the people. Reminds you of Democratic congressmen in poor cities, right? If any of the Great Society money and plus the Biden extra money and had ever gotten to those people, they'd be richer than Musk. But of course, it went to the Democrat politicians who end up becoming multimillionaires from public office. So that's the same process with Arafat. And then Arafat ends up, once he comes out of the picture, with Iran calling the shots. And Iran's only purpose in supporting Palestine is not Palestine. Couldn't give a damn about Palestine. Never did until then. But as a pawn in their game of trying to destroy the Jewish people and Israel. And they're not going to allow peace there until Israel is removed. So what that says is, and I'm sorry if no one wants to put it this way, an agreement with the Ayatollah on nuclear isn't going to accomplish the biggest thing you have to accomplish. But you've got to accomplish it. You got to get the obstacle to peace out of the way in the Middle East. The obstacle to peace is the Ayatollah and the reign of terror. And it's got to be done. And the quicker it's done, the faster you can start getting to a much more logical peace agreement with each one of those countries, whether it's Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Egypt, or the smaller ones, having much more control over their country. For example, you take the country of Bahrain, which is a very small, and maybe of all the countries, they're the most peaceful and the closest to what we would regard as Western principles. They've already had quite some time ago, like 10 years ago, a Jewish woman who represented them, this Muslim country, represented them in the United Nations, Jewish politicians in their highest levels of their government. They allow the public display much more freely of crosses and Stars of David on the churches and synagogues that are much more liberally permitted than in most of the other Arab countries. So Bahrain is a I guess from their point of view, would be the most liberal with regard to that. At the same time, Bahrain is consistently attacked by its right across the water neighbor, Iran, just to remind them of the danger that they pose and the fact that they could overtake them if they had to. They are well compensated for remaining loyal, but I don't think they'd have to be, but they are all related very, very closely and also in business together. But they are an enormously wealthy country, largely because of their relationship with Saudi Arabia. And they're Arab, and they're not about to cave in to the Persians across the river. But they do get people killed almost every month. So this doesn't happen unless we get rid of Iran. I don't know what the president's plan is. So let's look at the options, right? The plans that were discussed going in. We've been all over the place, and Witkoff at one point had announced a plan that sounded terribly similar to the plan that Obama had agreed to. He even used a percentage of uranium enrichment that was similar to Obama's, and basically it would be allowed to enrich uranium up to a certain percentage that would not allow the use of that uranium for military purposes. However, that was approximately the same percentage that Obama allowed, and the president had announced that it was the worst agreement in the history of the country. And Witkoff had to back off that. He went for a bit of an education on all this. And now he is, and the president has really straightened it out. The president, in a very, very solid interview last week when he was asked what his goal is with regard to the nuclear situation in Iran, he said elimination, complete elimination. And then he was questioned a little further. Does that mean also the peaceful use of it? And the president stated what has been stated many times, and the obvious, which is they don't need the peaceful use of nuclear energy. They've got more oil than they're ever going to need. And therefore, it would just be a pretext, wouldn't it, for being able to produce nuclear arms so that they were not, they believe, at the mercy of Israel. Now, do they have an argument for it? The way, as we see, it's very strange. It breaks out at the same time. I mean, the real worry when India and Pakistan were allowed to go nuclear was that this is would happen wherever we have these disputes. India became nuclear. Pakistan said we have to be if we're going to protect ourselves. Israel has gone nuclear. They don't admit it, but everyone believes it. And certainly the Iranians believe it, and therefore they have to go nuclear. And we got to stop it at some point. And maybe we should have stopped it with Pakistan. I don't think we realized how far in the direction of Islamic extremism Pakistan would go at the time. But Iran's already there. And it isn't just Islamic extremism. There are aspects of Iran with the Ayatollah and the mullahs that seem somewhat insane. And they are the worst nightmare of our greatest president of the 20th century, Ronald Reagan, for whom I worked, and I heard him express this. And that is the worst possibility in this nuclear, mutually assured destruction. Sure, it works if everybody's, even if bad or evil or whatever, but everybody's rational. But if somebody's irrational and doesn't mind dying like a jihadist, right, we could have no world left. So that's why it has always been stated quite, I think, credibly by Republicans and quite dishonestly by Democrats who have virtually funded the reign of terror, that under no circumstances would Iran be nuclear. Well, Obama put him on the road to that. Trump knocked him off that road, and Biden has ignored it, and they've gotten, a week away, apparently, or a month away. And that has to be reversed. If it doesn't get reversed now, it's not going to get reversed. It can be too late to reverse it. And my recommendation, strong, is that it has to be destroyed, not contained, destroyed. If they'd like a controlled destruction where they evacuate and we destroy it, fine. As long as we get full inspection and we have destroyed, and continued inspection thereafter so they don't try to do it again. If they don't want to do that, then we just do it for them. Or as the president puts it, we can do it the hard way or the easy way. The trip is also not going to be just about that. The trip is going to be about, and this could be the great announcement, that Saudi Arabia is going to make massive investments in the United States. When that gets added to the investments we've already made, and we'll try over the course of the next couple of days while he's there, we'll try to do the addition because it's hard. I'm not used to adding trillions. I'm I didn't learn. I learned math, the classical math, and I was pretty darn good at it. And if I wasn't, the nuns made sure I was. But I don't ever remember adding a trillion something and a trillion whatever together. The columns were too damn long. And even with my calculator, I got big fat fingers. There are too many. I get too many numbers. I mean, they just go on too long. It's like No, I'm teasing, but so we could get a little guide to how much they're going to put in, Ted. Last time he made his first trip to Saudi Arabia, also. First trip to Europe was Poland, but his first trip to overseas was to Saudi Arabia, and he came back with a big chunk of money. Let me see if I can figure out how much he came. He came back with $350 billion arms deal, and then he got another $110 billion, which may or may not be in addition to that. That might have been the upfront money on the 350, or that might have been an additional. It might have been 350 or 450. The leak now is it's nearly double that now. So what we're talking about then is 700 to 800, a little short of $1 trillion. He's got about $3 trillion investments already flowing in. I don't know if we realize how much investment he's gotten. I would say, without even counting it up, it is without any doubt a record, which I'm surprised he isn't counting up, because he loves records that he's entitled to them. I mean, there's something to that, because it gives you something to shoot for. I mean, it gets everybody it gets all the, not just the top people in the cabinet positions, but everybody, I don't know, when you break a record, there's something to that, Ted, you know? Right. When we got down to, the lowest crime in 50 years, and we were the safest large city in America, it really flipped in the sense that I ended up with it. Please don't take this the wrong way. I ended up with much more success than I thought I would have. Huh. I think I'd have been. I think if you had asked me at the beginning, and I was the only one who thought I'd be successful, myself and Arnold Burns.
The New York Times didn't think you would be successful.
Not even the Times. My friends came and said, "I've ruined my career."
Okay.
Why do you want to be mayor? You should run for governor. You should run for senator. Why don't you run for senator? You don't have to do anything.
Because New York was in such a bad spot.
You're already. I'm going to tell you exactly what my best friend Jay Wallman told me, who since has died. My best friend in the terms of political. Jay said, "This is a no-win proposition. These old Democrat cities can't be governed.
Right?
They were terrible then. He lived in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, so they can't be governed. They're all crooked. They're completely crooked. I mean, all you're doing is putting them in jail left and right.
Right.
And they'll just try to wait you out, and you'll never be able to change it." And he of course had read the two books, one a couple of years earlier and one recent, that said New York cannot be governed. That was the title of the book. Right. And it was generally the theme of the Times. And my analysis of that, before I decided to run, my intellectual analysis of that was an excuse. So if I get you to believe that what I'm running can't be governed, I don't have to govern it. Right. So if lots of kids get killed, I can say, hey, this place can't be governed. Or if we have a big deficit, this place can't be governed. Or if I can't sell the Columbus Circle, but really I'm using it for kickbacks 3 times. I go, this place can't be governed, and this place can't be governed. And don't judge me by that. Judge me by how many times I make you laugh, or judge me by how colorful I am, or judge me by if I pretend like I'm fighting with somebody or something like that.
Right.
I just had this sense. It almost was a religious thing. It was, these problems are created by men and women, by policies. They're not created by climate change, right?
Right.
Or by supernatural force. If they're created by men and women, why can't men and women change them? And I just said, we're just going to do that. And we're just going to, and if we fail, we fail. And Arnie Burns, who was my campaign manager, was the one campaign chairman. So he sat over everything, the fundraising, the politics. Arnie had been the former deputy attorney general under Ronald Reagan. A great man. His son, Doug, is on television all the time.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, I recognize that name.
What a great lawyer. I mean, Dad would be so proud of him. I don't get to see Doug very much, and I wasn't as close to Doug as I was to Arnie. But I have to tell you, Doug, if you're listening, you may not. You're on Newsmax maybe right now. But your dad would be so proud of you. You are one hell of a sound lawyer. And I criticize everybody on television as a lawyer. All lawyers. We all criticize each other, right? But the point that I'm trying to make is, once we got to the first level of success took off the way failure takes off. It built on itself. People started creating their own success. So I initiated a lot of the programs, right? Like ComStat put the emphasis on the police. And I'm sorry, I invented ComStat, and the numbers part of it, not the concept part of it, came from Bratton's staff, not Bratton. Now, invented ComStat, I wrote about it 10 years earlier. So, and none of them can articulate what it really did. Not even the City Journal has ever really gotten this quite right. What ComStat did, it changed the nature of policing from measuring police success by arrests, which are a measure of failure rather than success, but failure that's necessary. It's like the last thing you have to do. The measure of success for a police department would be no crime. The measure of success in a precinct would be not how many arrests you made. They are a means to a goal, and therefore an important measure of how much work you're doing. But the measure of success is how much you bring. Did you make the right arrests so that murder goes down 50%? Did you make the right arrests so that prostitution goes down 50%? Did you make the right arrests so that the drug dealers run away and go someplace else? And that's what the ComStat program measures. It measures crime reduction so that now we're patrolling rather than arresting. So that's my philosophy, and I'll stick with it. So the president is going to come back with a big bundle of money from Saudi Arabia. I predict eventually when he finishes rounding it up, and by the time he gets back here, you know what will happen? They'll take him to 700 or 800. They'll take him to 700 or 800 billion, and then they'll say, come on, let's go to $1 trillion. Hey, by the way, and they have it. Well, thinking about that happy thought, let's take a short break, and we'll be right back. Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster, and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. They're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to announce the next generation of energy drinks, Rev 7. It has no sugar and no caffeine. Instead, Rev 7 uses Go BHB. Go BHB is one of the body's primary ketones, and it provides the most efficient and clean fuel that your body needs. It also helps you stay energized all day with no crashes. Not only that, it produces 3 times more brain energy than sugar, which helps boost your memory, focus, and mental sharpness. It also helps reduce stress and helps balance your mood. Rev 7 does all that while being the best tasting energy drink ever. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% today. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7. For a limited time, you get our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. I drink Rev 7 every day, and I absolutely love it, and so will you. If you want to feel and look your best, you need to check out Pure Health Research. They have 45 premium health supplements that are designed to help you with everyday health goals. Whether it's boosting your energy or trimming belly fat, supporting healthy blood sugar, pumping your testosterone up, or even reducing swelling in your legs, Pure Health Research Supplement Store has you covered. Each formula is crafted with natural, non-GMO ingredients, backed by clinical research and manufactured right here in the USA. And here's the best part. Pure Health Research is offering you an exclusive 35% discount. Just go to purehealthresearch.com and use promo code Lindell at checkout. With their 365-day money-back guarantee, there's nothing to lose. So head over to purehealthresearch.com now, explore their 45 amazing supplements, and save 35% before this deal ends with promo code Lindell. Have you ever wondered what happened to the legendary Chuck Norris? Well, I recently saw a video he made and I was shocked. That guy's amazing and he's staying active well into his 80s. What's even more shocking is he's stronger, can work out longer, and even has plenty of energy left over for his grandkids. He did this by just making one change. He says he still feels like he's in his 50s. His wife even started doing this one thing too, and she's never felt better. She says she feels 10 years younger, her body looks leaner, and she has energy all day. Chuck made a very special video that explains everything. Make sure you watch it by going to chuckdefense.com/Lindell. It will change the way you think about your health. Once again, that's chuckdefense.com/Lindell. You won't believe how simple it is.
Well, we are back on the Rudy Giuliani Show on Lindell TV, and we have with us Kara Castronova, who may be alone in the White House. I don't know. Kara, is it lonely there?
I'm living here now. I'm all alone in the White House. There's nobody here.
Without the big man there?
Not here. So it's pretty dead. Everybody leaves when the president leaves. But I'm here in the briefing room talking to you, Mr. Mayor.
A good deal of the staff is there, right? A good deal of the staff is still there. They could all have gone with them.
There's some staff here, but at night, nobody's here. It's actually incredible. It's just me in the briefing room.
They all went home.
I don't think else in the building.
When the cat's away, the mice will play.
Yes.
So what's going on
Well,
in the empty White House?
Roaches here. Besides mice, there's a very big roach in the cafeteria. Journalists sit and eat. It's bigger than a New York roach, if that's possible.
The Navy chefs, right?
I do encounter that roach, Mr. Mayor. So today, I, as you know, I'm sure you spoke about the tariffs earlier with China and the deal that the president came to. So that's good news, and I think things are moving in the right direction. But something important to I know both of us is obviously healthcare, and I know that you respect Robert Kennedy Jr. like I do, and the president really wants to fight for obviously seniors and people who need to pay for their prescription drugs, people who are sick. We all know people in our families that are sick. Democrats, I think, and Republicans will be very supportive of this executive order. Actually, the president is going to be able to slash prescription drugs, he's saying, up to possibly 80% by a different number of measures. And he was in the Oval Office very early this morning before he took off for the Middle East for his trip there. He was with Robert Kennedy Jr., he was with Dr. Oz, he was with Dr. McCarthy and Dr. Bhattacharya. So he had the whole crew with her in the Oval Office. And it was
he was with Dr. Kennedy, too.
Yes, Robert Kennedy Jr. And they all look great, and they're fighting for things I think that all Americans want, which is less expensive prescription drugs and other countries paying their fair share when it comes to prescriptions. It's really interesting, but around the world, people are paying much less than we are here in the United States for the same exact products, which is obviously unfair. So in a sense, the United States has been subsidizing drugs for the rest of the world. I believe that we are paying for more than 75% of pharmaceutical costs, yet we're only less than 4. I think it's between 4 and 5% of the world's population. Actually, it's 4.2.
We're paying for all of the research, and we're paying for all the excessive profit, and maybe even all the stealing that goes on.
Of course. So it's
the drug is just this much. The drug is this much, and that's that much. And they pay this much,
Yeah,
and we pay all the rest. This
exactly.
is fabulous.
So that's
You think
supposedly
about
going
it.
to change. Go
Every
ahead, sir.
Democrat has run. Every Democrat runs, and I think Robert Kennedy made this point as a Democrat. I'm going to reduce prescription drugs, and it goes up. It could be quite a thing if he's the one to do it, right?
And I think that, Bernie Sanders actually ran on this platform, and many presidents, Republican and Democrat, have talked about this, that they're going to bring down pharmaceutical costs using all the measures that President Trump is, cutting out the middleman, making other countries pay their fair share, and all of these things. None of them had the steel backbone or the intestinal fortitude, is the way that Robert Kennedy Jr. put it, as President Trump, because the pharmaceutical, obviously one of the most powerful in the world, and a lot of politicians are funded by big pharma, so none of them really have the guts to actually stand up to big pharma. So President Trump is, and Robert Kennedy Jr. spoke very, I think, genuinely from his heart today in the Oval Office, really just thanking President Trump for doing something that he said he didn't think he would
What?
ever see in his lifetime, and that all of his Democrat children actually got tears in their eyes when he told them that this was happening. So he was very appreciative, and it was really nice. And if you want to take a listen to the president today in the Oval Office earlier and what he has to say about the executive order, here's a clip.
So for the first time in many years, we'll slash the cost of prescription drugs, and we will bring fairness to America. Drug prices will come down by much more, really, if you think 59. If you think of a drug that is sometimes 10 times more expensive, it's much more than the 59%. It depends on the way you want to analyze it, but in one way you could analyze it that way. But between 59 and 80, and I guess even 90%. So when I worked so hard in the first term, and if I got prices down, remember I was the only one to ever get prices down for a full year, but I'd get them down like 2%, and I thought it was like a big deal. Well, we're getting them down 60, 70, 80, 90%, but actually more than that if you think about it in the way mathematically. And Pharma has to say, we're sorry, but we'll not be able to do this any longer to these countries that have been so tough. They've been very tough, nasty. It's trade. It's trade. And Pharma is also very powerful, and the Democrats have protected Pharma.
Well, not powerful enough to stop him, huh? Or Robert Kennedy. He's right. Pharma is very powerful, and they make the knees bend. But you get a sense of what great Americans, that's an all-star cast he's got there, along with Robert Kennedy, Dr. Oz, and all the people who stood up on COVID. I mean, everybody he's got there has a lot of courage, for America, like you do.
I know. Thank you. And so do you. I was just thinking it would be similar for me. I would have the same reaction if I saw you standing behind the president, because these are people that fought for the 4 years that we were all canceled. And, it was a terrible time, really. But these people, the ones that you mentioned that are behind the president during COVID, were really out and they were canceled and, on top. So it's a really redemptive tale, just like yours, Mr. Mayor. So I get teary eyed when I see things like that, because a lot of those people were really treated unfairly. And now they're back on top, and they're running the country, and they're doing great things. And a lot of people are very grateful.
So now what happens? The next couple of days, he's going to be over there. He's going to be in Qatar. He's going to be in Dubai. He's going to be in Abu Dhabi. Who knows where else he go? He says he might go wherever the heck Putin and Zelensky are if they start talking.
Yes, the president won't be here this week. He's doing a lot of things across the Middle East, visiting many countries. Tomorrow he'll be in Saudi Arabia, so we could update you as that transpires, and what goes on there. We'll obviously be watching, and we could still report from the White House, even though the president is not here. You never know, there might be a briefing this week with the press secretary, one of the deputies for that matter, telling us more details on what's going on in all of
sure
those
there will be.
meetings.
I'm absolutely sure there will be.
There should.
But,
There should be.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
it should be a great week. I think that there's a lot of important things that they're talking about, as you well know.
well, actually, this is the time when they get their work done. People think they go off, but this is the time when all that work that built up gets done, because it isn't getting interrupted by other priorities. But so you keep us posted, okay?
I will. Do you want to say? I wanted to share one more clip with you from
Please. You always pick
today.
great ones.
Well, you know what? I have two more if you want. I always pick out the ones I
Yeah.
think you would like because there's just so many different concepts that really a lot of people weren't aware of. A lot of people just accept healthcare for what it is and just accept the fact that it's expensive and don't really ask questions why. And there's so many different reasons. But Trump furthermore explained the most favored nations concept, which means that there's a lot of countries around the world that are paying, like I mentioned earlier, the literally maybe a fraction, maybe 10% or 5% of the price that Americans are paying. President Trump is going to locate where those car that's paying the lowest price, and the United States will now be matching that price. So wherever they're paying in the world the lowest price, that is now going to be the price that the United States is paying according to the president and this executive order. So I just wanted to let you hear President Trump talking about the most favored nations. Take a listen.
But it's called most favored nation. We are going to pay the lowest price there is in the world. We will get whoever is paying the lowest price, that's the price that we're going to get. So remember that. So we're no longer paying 10 times more than another country. Whoever is paying the lowest price, we will look at that price and we will say that's the price we're going to pay. Most favored nations. That's what it is. One breast cancer drug costs Americans over $16,000 per bottle, but the same drug from the same factory, manufactured by the same company, is 1/6 that price in Australia and 1/10 that price in Sweden. 1/10 for the identical product. A common asthma drug costs almost $500 here in America, but costs less than $40 in the United Kingdom. So $40 in the United Kingdom, which is where this gentleman told me he paid a small amount for his shot. But think of that. So $40 versus $500 here.
Looked to me like Robert Kennedy made a note there to go see if they could straighten that out. It was really cute. He reached in,
Yeah.
went like this.
Right.
Well, we'll see.
They're a good
I mean, this is
team,
very.
Mr. Mayor. And Dr. Oz, I'll just summarize the clip I was going to show. I'll just rather summarize it. Who obviously is doing a great job with Medicare and the Medicaid. Is costs will go down. Important to a lot of Americans, obviously, and they like to, the fake news is out there saying President Trump wants to cut Medicare and cut Medicaid. But in actuality, a lot of people, because Medicaid might be covering their drugs or insurance, they don't realize just how much these really nefarious pharmaceutical companies are charging their insurance
Yeah.
companies for these drugs. The prices are astronomical, as you know, and obviously if those prices come down, it's going to be a tremendous burden taken off the shoulders of the taxpayer if these drug prices aren't extortive. So it's really going to help Medicare and Medicaid and insurance in general, because these companies won't get away
That's a
anymore with
heck of a
charging
good point,
astronomical prices. Yeah, so I just wanted to point that
Absolutely
out. And
right.
Dr. Oz is doing a great job with that, and so is the whole team. And I think it's a proud day for America.
That's a very good point. I mean, the Democrats like to say, he's going to cut Medicaid. He's going to cut Medicaid. Now, every single one of them knows that there's a tremendous amount of overpricing, and there's a tremendous amount of just straight out and out fraud. Now, if you're cutting fraud, you're not cutting anything that hurts anybody. You're helping. So if you can't keep Medicare and Medicaid the same, because it involves money that's not being spent on helping people. So you got to cut out the fraud, which brings down the overall amount to a legitimate amount. But
Right.
that's the political garbage that hopefully he's going to do away with. And you are so terrific at pointing it out. Thank you very much, Kara. We'll
Thank you,
keep
Mr.
in touch with
Mayor.
you.
God bless you and have a great night. Okay, I'll talk to you
Yeah,
soon.
we're
Have a
going to
great
make
night.
sure, because we don't want them to go run out on the president and go practice for the softball team or something, or the baseball team. Okay.
Right. Okay,
All right,
Mr.
take
Mayor.
care.
Take care.
Doesn't she do a great job? You're darn right she does. So I'm going to show you a picture right now. I just got to get it over with. That's the interior. Oh, do we have a camera for it ready? For my thing. That's the interior of the Boeing 747-8 jumbo jet that Qatar wants to buy for the president or the presidency or the library. Well, I don't know. This is gonna be a big deal. The Democrats can make a big deal out of that. So I have a suggestion. Why don't they give it to us and we can loan it to the president? Right, and then we can use it for America's Mayor Live, the Rudy Giuliani show. We'll even take a bunch of the people from Lindell TV with us.
See, keeping up a jet is kind of costly.
Mike could have one side, I could have the other right over there.
I'd like some sort of like stipend to take care of it and for fuel and such.
Oh well, I mean, we'll get somebody to pay for that. Yeah. We'll get Dubai to pay for that. What do you say?
I'm game.
And MBS will pay for the upkeep.
I'll do some myself, right? Like I'm pretty handy.
I would rather be on a plane that is serviced by professionals. Ted.
And they're going to charge you.
Ted, what do you think? Ted, what do you think?
Yeah, look, Steven can work. He's just okay. He's
we know
pretty
that
good with cars, but cars aren't exactly
not the best about flying. I think
airplanes.
She said, "Who's servicing this plane?" I thought, well, Steven is.
Yeah. Yeah. He's he can do well with cars.
Steven is servicing the plane. We're saving money. The president loves it. Steven is servicing. The president would be fine with it.
It's a Doge initiative.
The president would be fine with it. That is a picture of the plane. And I guess it's bigger than Air Force One. I guess it is. I mean, it's hard to believe it can be bigger than Air Force One. Air Force One looks like a New York City apartment building flying.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I bet these guys know how to really deck out a plane.
Yeah, and it's more modern.
I bet it's like people's life's work over there just decking out.
And it's more modern, and Boeing was taking forever getting the other one ready, and it's running its way. He got them down to like half the price they were going to charge, and then he took only one. He didn't want two.
If they can finish an airplane at some point, like I've heard they've been having some major problems over at Boeing.
Yeah, like the planes are. Never mind. I don't want to hurt them. They're an American company. Let's keep our mouth shut.
Well, I mean, quasi. What does that even mean right now? I mean, they do import a lot too.
Yeah, they do import a lot, and they sell a lot overseas. But they are one of our big. Contributors to our balance of payments. I mean, they're one of our big exporters where the money's coming in on our side. So, do we have a video of Eden Alexander finally being recovered after 580 days of being a hostage because we had a president who doesn't care that Americans are hostages or that Americans are killed or that Americans are left behind on the battlefield, or that friends of America that helped us are tortured and destroyed. He doesn't even care when their bodies come back because he looks at his watch as opposed to paying attention to them. But this man is back only because Donald Trump is president. Biden had a lot more time to get him back than Trump did. You just thank your lucky stars that they didn't get away with cheating this time. I would say he looks pretty good. They probably fixed him up the last month or two, knowing they were giving him back to America. Don't you think? I bet there's a story to that. The last thing in the world they wanted to do is deliver this guy in bad shape. Weren't there some rumors that he was dead?
Well, unfortunately, that's quite commonly the case.
But I thought specifically they went back and forth as to whether he was alive or dead. And they wouldn't confirm for the family that he was alive because they're such vicious damn animals.
What torture?
There are 59 hostages now. I think 58 without him. And I think 30 plus are alive. And I don't know that they've bothered to tell the families as to who's going to come out of that gate when they're eventually released. These are complete animals. And I mean, their total destruction is the only way you're going to have peace in the Middle East.
And we just have to send our love to those victims and those hostages that are returning home. I'm sure that's been.
Yeah. I was thinking a bit. I think I've mentioned this to you Stephen, I wonder about the morality, but although I've resolved it, about taking the American and leaving the others behind. I don't think we have a choice. If you look at how this has happened, if we were going to do a one for all thing, it had to be done right at the beginning. But we're really, unfortunately, and President Trump has, as much as he can, turned it. But we began let them be in control of when and how they're going to release, as opposed to our being in control. So we take what we can get. And obviously you don't turn them down because you can't get the rest. You get the lives out as much as possible. I do think we would have saved a lot more people if we made this demand at the very beginning.
But you have to get them out. And every day that passes, the probability...
I have no doubt that if Joseph Biden were a president, instead of a complete crooked stumblebum, we could have gotten them out. Hamas could not have withstood the United States of America saying, this war will be over in a day if you don't release our hostages. And if we cut off, and this is why I get nervous about that airplane from Qatar, and if we told Qatar, we're going to cut you off too, unless you tell those criminals that you have in Qatar that you're taking care of, the billionaire Hamas people, that you're going to turn them over to us and we're going to put them in American prison. I mean, if we had done a full court press with the power of the United States of America, Qatar would have folded, Hamas would have folded, and Iran would not have wanted a confrontation. And I believe we would have gotten everybody back. But we didn't have a president. We had probably the worst criminal in the history of America sitting in the White House.
Well, and whoever was making the decisions at that time, they were just hearing, Israel's toxic, avoid it.
Well, no, they favor Iran. The people making decisions have been the biggest funders of Iran over the last decade and a half.
Oh, certainly.
Yeah, nobody's given them more money than
Especially
Obama and Biden.
The Obama holdovers and that whole ecosystem of corruption.
Well, I mean, this whole question of the next trip that he makes to Qatar, or the third one, where we have 10,000 troops, is very, very interesting. You cannot equate Qatar with Saudi Arabia, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, or what is called the Emirates, Oman even, and particularly Bahrain. And I say this with great reluctance because I was very close to the prior emir of Iran, of Qatar. And I did a lot of work in Qatar. And I see Bernie Kerik is now going to represent them. And I have several other friends that continue to represent them that were colleagues of mine. But Qatar is not what it was at the time of 9/11 and shortly thereafter, when the older emir, the son of the present emir, came to the United States and gave us $10 million. That's not the $10 million I returned, to help our people, and then gave us a lot more money to help, and was sincerely broken by the idea of that kind of an attack. And I spent many days with him, and I spent a lot of time in Qatar. And Bernie and I did a lot of good work in building their police department, teaching them how to do the Asian games. But then they've gone through a period with the new emir of playing both sides against the middle. And if they want to be our friend, it means they cut off Iran, which is why they were isolated by Saudi Arabia and the Emirates and several others a couple of years ago with a blockade. And the president supported that blockade. So I would like to see, before we get cozy with Qatar again, and this is a country I know better than I think just about anybody, because I spent a lot of time there. Before we get cozy with them, let's make sure they're 100% under the tent, huh? And not squeaking out toward Iran, because we could have some real problems there with the rest of the coalition, including Saudi Arabia and Israel, if we're not careful. It may be that they've had a change of heart, and I sincerely pray for that. But I'd want to see a demonstration of that. And when we have time, I'll tell you what I think those could be, and they'd be very, very practical. So We're going to move over to X now for America's Mayor Live, and we're going to pray for the president's success in the Middle East, and at the same time, the success of the negotiations that are going on with regard to Ukraine, if they are going on, and also for the success and the freedom, ultimately, of the people of Iran and Israel and Ukraine and all of us here in the United States. And once again, let's pray for the success of the new Pope, because his responsibilities are enormous and his family is looking to be totally charming. God bless America.